What's going on today, guys? Massive Hater here, and today we'll be talking about how to not get scammed as a beginner or even an intermediate and advanced producer. Firstly, don't give login credentials. Don't worry, these are going to get progressively weirder and more advanced. This is just what it sounds like. Don't give your login credentials to anyone, except maybe like a trusted manager. This may sound like obvious advice, but I've seen quite a few people fall for Bitcoin or clout scams that involve giving people 5 minutes of access to your account. I know it's shocking, I can't believe people fall for this, but they do. My next piece of advice falls into a similar category. Don't click on suspicious looking links, you fucking idiot. You should especially be wary of links sent to you through DMs, especially from someone you do not know, or if it seems like they may have been hacked, they might have been hacked. I would say Discord or Instagram are where these scams most likely take place, but they can even happen in smaller YouTube accounts videos, especially if they're related to piracy. Now, not all link shortening websites have hacks in them, but they're often hidden in link shortening websites. I see quite a few people fall for this one. Don't get bad management, you desperate fool. A manager should be someone who takes care of the business for you, but the problem is a lot of people that people hire as managers are not very qualified. If they can't do their job better than you can, you probably got a bad manager. If you have to explain to them what to do, you probably don't have a very good manager. I see a lot of producers going around openly looking for managers, and that's a great way to find a bad manager. You should definitely have some sort of checks to make sure that they're qualified. If they're not teaching you things about what to be doing, then they're probably not qualified, in my opinion. You should also never be paying for management. They should be taking a cut off of what you guys are getting paid together. You should never be paying them directly. One reason I personally don't have management is I would only hire someone that would be making up for the difference I would be losing by hiring them. If they're taking like a 20% cut or something like that, if they're not making an extra 20% to cover their end for me to pay them, they're not worthy of hiring. I shouldn't be losing money by having a manager. Next up, be wary of paid services. Be wary of any service that can't be quantified. I'm talking about promo, reposts, articles. They're all easy ways to get scammed because you could be paying for something and they could just block you immediately, or they could give you botted plays. You know, they could just not be who they say they are. Now, I'm not saying all of these are scams because it is possible to pay for legit promo. The first way to check would be to talk to other people who have used it in the past. Maybe if you have some mutuals, you know, someone who may be a little bit unbiased. You got to make sure they're not just their friend trying to convince you. One way to spot botted plays is to see if it all comes from one location. That's definitely a huge red flag. Some other ways to check include stream to save ratio, streams to listeners ratio, desktop to mobile ratio, free to premium ratio, etc. I guess ask the mutual about the location of the plays, if there was any sort of beneficial long-term engagement. It's the same deal with SoundCloud reposts. They always cost more than what they're worth. Same thing with pretty much all promo, but what you're hoping for with paying for promo is that you will get more real fans, which will stick around for longer. Having an article written about you also generally should not cost money either. Websites and magazines make most of their money through ads, so they should not be charging you. Now for our next topic, deceptive products. This is something we've covered extensively on this channel. There are quite a few plugins being sold to target beginner producers. They often do things that your stock DAW devices can do and are being masked with buzzwords. They like to call it something else usually than what it is. They're quite often overpriced for what they are as well. It's definitely not always the easiest distinction to make because marketing in this field has made a shift ever since this happened. Because there are definitely plugins that use these sort of marketing techniques but still have value. They also might make claims that can't be backed up.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Now, some plugins I can think of off the top of my head that fit this criteria, and packs as well, would be the Unison Audio Chord Pack, maybe Drip, Drum Monkey. I would consider anything Teenage Engineering makes also to be a scam, or at the very least really gimmicky and overpriced, which, it's all kind of similar for sure. Now, I think this is a very hard line to draw, and that's why so many people fall into this trap, because there are also plugins that are bad, or at least in my opinion are bad, that almost fit this criteria, but they don't. It's just because they're bad. Off the top of my head, I can think of Hermes. I'm sorry, Busy Work Beats. Also Mix Checker, Lander Chromatic. Those are the only ones I can think of right now. What plugins or products do you guys think are scams or gimmicky and overpriced or just bad? Let me know. I'm sure there's quite a few that I missed. Another marketing technique I'm really not a big fan of is this playing on fear of missing out through limited licenses or copies. Even Somatics is guilty of this. A lot of these products often use ads to target producers. Not saying all ads are bad, but I'm sure a lot of these companies would target beginner producers specifically if they could. I mean, they might even be doing so, maybe like through targeting keywords such as music production for beginners, music production tips or tutorials. I don't really know for certain. I haven't seen the back end of a lot of these companies' websites. Or any of them. Now, my suggestions are to do research and to see if there's something out there that's better and cheaper for the price. Find out what these plugins are actually doing and make sure you're paying for something that's actually worth paying for. Also, find more knowledgeable producers to ask questions about these plugins too as well. Try to look up reviews also. You gotta be really careful about reviews on YouTube because not everyone is honest. Which brings me to the next point, affiliations and sponsorships. Now, I know what you guys are gonna say. Hey, haven't you done affiliations and sponsorships on your channel? Yes, but not all affiliations and sponsorships are bad. I have a checklist criteria here we can look at. Now, this is a checklist of things I don't do, and if you see other music production channels doing this as well, you should see that as a red flag in my opinion. Now, firstly, not disclosing that it's a sponsored or affiliated video. There's no bigger way to deceive your audience than to be paid to do something like a tutorial or something, or just, I don't know, talk about a product and not tell the audience that you were paid to do so. Generally in these sort of videos, people do not talk about them negatively and will try to make them look good. Another thing on this checklist for me is to not do sponsored or affiliated reviews. The operative word here being reviews. A reviewer should absolutely not be getting paid to review something. If they are, then how can you trust the words they're saying? Because essentially they're financially benefiting from telling people good things about a plugin. How would the audience know they could trust the reviewer in that case? You can't. This also goes for affiliate links as well. If you're gonna have an affiliate link for a product, in my opinion, it should be in a different video than the video that you've reviewed it on. This is definitely up for debate though, because you're still financially benefiting from something that you've reviewed in the past. But I think at a certain point there has to be some sort of leniency. Otherwise, you basically cannot have an affiliate link for anything you review at any point ever. Then that'll also give you incentive to not review something. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say what the right answer is, at least in my opinion. Give me your guys' thoughts on this also. Next thing I want to talk about, consultations and courses. I don't think very many consultations or courses are scams, but I'm sure there are a few. I guess you should just be aware of people who are overly anxious to sell them or are not credible. You can check this sort of information, kind of like what I was suggesting earlier, asking people or maybe checking out their YouTube channel and make sure they have some interesting information, or maybe look up like reviews of the course, see if anyone you know has taken the course. Nextly, beware of bad labels. Now, I'm not just talking about labels that get no plays. I'm talking about labels that may be botting things, labels that may be asking you for money. If anything, they should be paying you money through royalties. Try to make sure that there's a contract. I mean, it may not really be necessary with a really small label, but usually you want a contract even if there isn't a lot of money involved, just in case things go different. That's one reason if I'm using a beat from someone to do vocals on or vice versa, I like to sell it to them. That way, in case, if our personal relationship sours, then the contract is still holding it together, or the fact that you've paid for something. In the case of the label, you're not paying for anything. Sorry, that was just an example. Also, some large labels may give you an advance. If you're looking at this video, then you probably already know this, but generally an advance is a large sum of money that a label will give you, and you have to pay it back over time through sales. Most small labels will not give you an advance though. How could they? They don't have money. That's why they're a small label. And the last thing I want to talk about, bad contracts. Now, I'm not going to give you too much advice here because I don't want to lead you guys astray or have people be like, hey, you said this one thing and it wasn't correct in this one situation. So basically the only thing I want to say here is have a lawyer look at it. And the main reason is because generally sneaky things can be hidden in these contracts. Not always, not even most of the time, I would say. But yeah. Lawyer. Okay, and that's it for this video. Are there any things I missed here, guys? What are some things that producers, especially newer producers, should look out for to avoid getting scammed? Let me know down in the comments. I'm your host, Weaver Beast. Make sure to check out my Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Patreon if you want to support the channel, and affiliate links. I'm not scamming you guys. I'm not scamming you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Bang Incorporated.